Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. It looks like a beautiful day coming today. Yesterday I had Matt over from the KW Bonsai Society and I'll show you what he brought me. Matt is a sign painter by profession and check out what he made for me. He made me a Bonsai Zone sign in an oak frame. Wow, is that ever cool? Matt also brought me some little trees here. So there is a dwarf cypress here, false cypress. It's Sawara false cypress. Looks really cool. And there's a Rose of Sharon seedling. So that was just dug up from a garden. So really cool. I'll show you the back of the sign. Here's the back of the sign, hand painted. Doesn't that look awesome? Wow, is that ever good? I won't keep it out in the greenhouse here. It's too humid. I'll put it in the office. I really enjoyed meeting Matt for the first time in person. We had a great afternoon touring all the trees, indoors, outdoors, and we had a great conversation. So thanks a lot, Matt, for the gifts. I really appreciate them. Let's head outside now and I'll show you winter has returned. We got snow last night. So the larch forest is covered in snow once again. The trees have pretty well lost their green color. There's a little bit up top here and some over here, but they've pretty well gone to their kind of vibrant yellow color. Some are losing the vibrant yellow and they're going more to a straw color here, and then they'll start falling off. So looking pretty cool. My mission for today is to get the remainder of my tropical trees out of the plastic greenhouse here. So they've survived another cold night. They look like they're doing quite well in there. So I gave a lot of my cuttings away to Matt. So I pretty well have my 2 seed trays emptied now, which is good. Matt took the Ficus Lyrata cutting, the tall cutting, the fiddle leaf fig. So I was glad to get that out of here because I have my other one that survived the original tree. And Matt can start a bonsai or a tree with the cutting. I've managed to clear up some space in the basement here. I moved a lot of my citrus over to the bench on this side, and I've got to get the lights on. So yeah, I've got some room to bring stuff in from the greenhouse down into the basement here. Last year, I brought all my citrus down into the basement, and I brought my lemon tree up into the plant room at the end of December. And that is the tree that flowered. So this year, I'm going to keep my citrus down in here until the end of December, keeping them cool and dormant. And then I'll bring them up into the plant room where it's suddenly warm and lighter. And hopefully they'll flower. We'll see if we can repeat last year's success. When I came in here this morning, the temperature in the greenhouse was about maybe 3 or 4 degrees Celsius, just above freezing. And now it's climbed up to 10. I've started bringing in some of my less hardy trees into the greenhouse. So there's my Osage orange forest in here. I also brought in my lavender, my nightshade vine, and my cedar root over rock. Just because, you know, I pruned these recently and I just want to make sure they get through the winter okay. I think the outside temperature is above freezing now, so I'm going to open the plastic greenhouse up and start moving plants from the plastic greenhouse into the basement and the plant room. It's not too bad inside the greenhouse here. It's about 6 degrees Celsius, so not real warm, but definitely above freezing. I'll start bringing in the trees now, and I'll start with this cutting from Connor's old jade. Next, I'll bring in the cutting off of Joey's giant jade bonsai. So that's coming in now. I'm bringing in the larger pots first. So next is my silk floss tree way back in the corner. Come on. There we go. I looked at the long range forecast and we've got a low of -6 coming up next Tuesday. That's getting pretty cold. I don't know if I could keep this greenhouse above freezing, so I've got to get all the trees in this weekend for sure. I'll bring in this jade next. Now the common name for this is Bonsai Jade. It's from South Africa. And you can see it's flowering quite nicely. Kind of exciting. I got an email from Adam, who lives in Northern Ireland this summer. He's a young guy going to school still, and he was making a documentary on bonsai for his school project, and he put it together, and it's just released now, and it's fantastic. It has some really big names in bonsai in the documentary, so I felt quite honored to be included in it. I'll put the link to the video in the description below. Check it out. It's quite fascinating, and I think you'll really like it. Most of the trees in the greenhouse now are succulents, and they're in small pots, so I'll start bringing all those into the plant room and the basement now. Next in is a pair of Ficus Religiosa. I've got this plant that was growing. I put it in Isabella's pot down there. Really cool. And then the cutting, I put in this big pot, and it's starting to send out shoots now, so that's exciting. So I'll put those in a nice warm spot. I always find it interesting that many succulents can take the really cold temperatures. I guess they're used to being in the desert where the temperature drops quite cool at nighttime. And other plants like cashews and that, they can't take the cold at all. It's kind of the opposite of what you would expect.
Just a little bit.
Oh, they're just coming out, eh?
Oh yeah.
I was out getting an extension cord for the plant room, and on my way home I found myself following a truck that was full of wood chips, and I saw them pull into a side street and into a house, and I thought, okay, so I went around the block and talked to them. I said, has anyone spoken for those wood chips yet? And they said no. And I said, would it be possible to drop them off at our house? And they said sure. So I gave them my address, and 10 minutes later the truck came and they dropped them off. So that was wonderful. That's a lot of wood chips that we can do all our pathways with right into the backyard. It is back to snow outside again. I'm making, I wouldn't say good progress, but some progress in the greenhouse here. Let's go in and have a look. So I've got some seed trays here. I want to save, there's an acacia here. I think this is a, oh, what kind is the kind with the little tiny leaves? Sweet thorn maybe? No, monkey thorn. I think it's monkey thorn. And then I've got this plant which people told me what it's called and now I forget again. But it has you know, the start of a nice little trunk at the base there, so I can prune it back and put it in its own pot. I've got this lemon tree out here that needs repotting because it fell out of the pot. I've got the wild almond trees and a few of these pines. I've got my Jerusalem thorns, my hibiscus from seed. Everything's pretty well out of there. There's a couple of hardy trees. They can stay in the seed tray. I've got my my cypress cuttings, lemon cypress cuttings from Bonsai Jade, and then a few Portulacaria afras. And that's about it. It's getting quite empty in here, actually. I've also got this giant, I don't know if it's an aloe, but it's some kind of succulent, and it's getting quite large. You can see the size of it. So I'm not sure if I want to keep it or not. I don't know if I can make a bonsai out of it. Maybe I'll try, you know, I can remove the lower leaves and see what it looks like. See if it's getting some kind of a trunk on it. Yeah, I'll try that. It takes up a lot of space, and I don't know, I have a lot of aloe bonsai on the go, so maybe I don't need that one. I don't know. I noticed in here I have one Cotoneaster cutting that's gone red with its fall colors. I thought I gave them all away, but I guess I still have one little one growing there. It kind of looks like we're getting freezing rain or kind of icy drizzle or something out there. Kind of nasty. So I'll keep working away getting the rest of the trees in. I think before I bring in this plant, I'm going to trim all these long leaves off it so it doesn't take up so much room. Maybe see if it's developing a bit of a trunk. So I'll start down low here and try and prune these away. They're fleshy. I'm might be an aloe, I don't know. Let's have a look at the leaves. Oh, they're sticky like an aloe. I would say that's an aloe. Certainly got that gel inside like an aloe has. I know I saw them online. I'll have to look it up again and find out exactly what it is. I mean, it's a cool plant. It's just, and it desperately needs repotting. I can feel the pot has actually gone out of round. I can feel like a solid root growing down here. You can see that's growing out the bottom. The only danger with these things, if you put them in bigger pots, they'll grow giant, like really giant. They'll get huge leaves on them, and you know, the space they take up just keeps getting bigger and bigger, just like the plant. So yeah, it's probably better suited to being a house plant or something than a bonsai, but you know, we can try it as a bonsai. If I can get in here. Okay, so I'll be interested to see how big the trunk is, because it might be quite skinny on it, if I can even see it. It's pretty hard to see the trunk. It looks like it's about this diameter from what I can see. So I'll keep removing these leaves. I'm just going to leave a couple at the top. It might slow down the growth of it, but I don't really care. As long as it's a little more compact. Then I can repot it in spring and put it out for the summer and see what it does. There we go. Certainly take a lot of weight off it. These leaves are really heavy. And I couldn't get in it to water this either. It was like really difficult. There's no space at all. So now I can kind of see in. There's the main trunk here, and then there's another shoot coming off here and a couple more here. So it's certainly wants to spread. Okay, I think that's enough. It's looking, oh, there's one there. One more leaf. It's looking fairly compact now. There. Yeah. Okay, so that can go into the plant room now. I've got all the tropicals out of the greenhouse now. So it's looking pretty empty in here. I've got a lot of cleanup to do. I got to clean up all the benches. In spring, I'll have to wash down the plastic, get all the algae and stuff off it. The next step, after cleaning the place, I'll get my tarps on the ceiling to keep the light out of here, so it kind of maintains a constant temperature in winter. And then I can start loading in some of the hardy trees that they'll overwinter inside here. I forgot one last thing to do in the greenhouse, and that is to turn off the heat, which is kind of nice. Here's my little heater down here. There we go. It's silent in here. It'll get mighty cold in here tonight. I do have a few seed trays that I still have to work on. So in here, I've got 3 seed trays. So I've got my hibiscus here, my Jerusalem thorns. Here I've got that great big tall one which has some flowers or something coming on it up there. You can see those. And then in this one I've got the almonds, the wild almonds, and there's a few pines there that I can transplant. And then I can get, put the seed trays outside. Let's head indoors now and I'll show you what the basement looks like and the plant room. We'll see how crowded they are. So here's the setup. So the main bench here is quite full. I mean, there's a little bit of space for some smaller ones if I want to. And then I've moved my Sarissa over here. This is the same setup I had last year with it. Its own dedicated light up there, shining on the Sarissa. That seemed to keep it happy last year, so I'm going to do the same thing this year. And then I've got all my citrus trees over here. They get a lot of natural light from the basement windows here. So I think they'll be okay there without lights. They were fine last year. You can see the cord going across here. That's why I had to get an extension cord so I can run it across the floor so we can get through here. So I've got to hook that up still. But yeah, everything's fitting quite nicely down here. Got all my jades over here. And a lot of these, when they get pruned, they'll take up a lot less space. Let's head upstairs to the plant room now. See how crowded that is. Okay, here we are in the plant room. So I have a little bit of a problem up here, and that the aisleway is partially filled with plants. So I've got to do something about that. Otherwise, it's pretty full up here. Yeah, there's not a lot of excess room. So I've also got to clear this out because I've got to make videos here in the winter. Yeah, so I can't have all these plants and trees in the aisleway. So yeah, maybe some of them will be going down into the basement. Maybe some of the jades and that. Some of the more hardy trees. My Ficus microcarpa here was down in the basement last year for most of the year. So yeah, after I work on them, maybe some of them will be going down into the basement. I still have the heat on here in the glass greenhouse. I'll keep it on until I get all those plants repotted from the seed trays into smaller pots, and then I can bring them inside. Tomorrow I'm heading down to pick up the end bench for the greenhouse, so that'll be exciting. And tomorrow also I'm meeting Zin, Jay, and Mike from the KW Club, and we're going to visit a bonsai greenhouse. So that's going to be exciting. I sure like the new Bonsai Zone sign that Matt made for me. Thanks a lot, Matt. That's awesome. And that's all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.